Have you eaten bugs?
Yeah, I've eaten a bunch of bugs. I hosted Fear Factor, son.
Oh, so is that part of it? You had to eat it as being host?
I did it because I did it to get people to do it. Like if they were like, I can't do it, I'm like, you can. Look, I'll do it. I'll do it easy. I just
Like with toddlers?
I grabbed a roach and I just chucked it in my throat. I did it to a couple different things. I ate a few different things.
What's your take on the bugs? Were some of them pretty good, or are they
roaches
all gross?
are surprisingly
That's
tasteless.
So gross. Ew.
Yeah, and it was a big one, a Madagascar hissing cockroach.
Alive or dead?
Alive. I just grabbed him and ate him. But they're surprisingly tasteless. You get over the fact that you're eating a bug and the squish in your mouth, but it doesn't taste like much. And the thing about bugs is people have been eating bugs forever. Animals have been eating bugs forever. I mean, bugs, this is me. Look at so cutie back then. Let's watch. I'm going to choke this thing down.
Bro. Oh, the crunching.
Yeah, it was very crunchy.
Oh. Jesus.
I was laughing at the same time, too.
Were the crew people like, you don't have to do this?
No, I was doing it to try to get this girl to do it.
Did she do it?
She wound up eating worms instead, which I thought was worse. We made a deal with her. 2 worms. 2 worms or a roach.
What was the thought when you did Fear Factor? I heard it was you didn't love acting as much. Is that what it was?
Well, the process of sitcoms is great when it's up and running, but it's brutal to begin. Like the early days of news radio.
I love that show, by the way.
Thank you. It was a great show.
I loved watching it.
That was like 16-hour days. Like you work crazy long days, and the writers are busting their ass, and the actors are. Everyone's tired. The crew's tired. It's hard to put together those fucking shows.
I thought sitcom was a better schedule. Like I heard these 16-hour days are with single cams and stuff.
Once they get going. The thing is, you have to figure out a way to make it a well-oiled machine, and that takes a long time. The actors have to be in line. They have to figure out whose strengths are. The writers have to be in line. They have to get support from the network. It's a grind, man.
Did you guys eventually get to a
We eventually
streamlined...
got to the point where we didn't even have to work 5 days a week. We only worked 4 days a week, and one of the days was just a table read. So we'd come in, there would be a table read, then there'd be some revisions. The writers would get together and they'd come up with new scripts, and the writers were crazy. They would write like really late at night. Like that was their thing, to get silly, to like be exhausted.
yeah, just delirious.
Yeah, they just get completely delirious and write the most ridiculous shit. It was really fun. They would come stumbling in like barely awake at like 9 in the morning when we're all there. They had just finished, and some of them, sometimes they didn't finish. Sometimes they had like one half of the script and they were still tightening up the second half. So they'd give you the first half of the script, you'd work on it until lunch. Everybody would eat lunch, and then they would come back with the second half of the script and you'd work the rest of it out. And in the beginning, it was exciting and it was fun and everything, but I was like, this is not my jam. This is really fun to do.
You were great
fun
in
to
it.
do. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's fun. Acting's fun with fun people. But eventually I was like, I just like doing stand-up. And I like doing other things. And then this show, Fear Factor, I was like, this is going to get canceled immediately. Like, you're sicking dogs on people on television and making them eat animal dicks. Like, I'm in. Let's go. You're going to make them ride bulls? Okay. I'm like, okay.
So they came to you first. You were first option. They go, do you want to host this show?
Well, they didn't know who was going to host it. They met with a bunch of people.
And it was NBC, right?
Yeah, it was NBC.
Okay.
So I had just been on NBC for news radio, and so I had a relationship with them. And so then when this came up, it was just like they said, there was 2 thoughts. One, have someone host it that was like a sports guy, like fear is not a factor for them, like down the middle, or someone who's like laughing while this crazy shit was going on. So they chose me. So I
think it worked better.
It worked out.
Yeah.
Well, you had to make fun of some of it because it was so crazy that you were doing this. And some of the things I was like, don't do it. I would tell people, don't do it. Like the bull riding, I'm like, don't do it.
They're not paying you enough for this.
No one's paying you enough to ride a fucking bull. You get kicked in the head by a bull, your life has changed forever. I'm like, I'm not going to do whatever you want to do.
But you don't have health insurance.
I wouldn't do it.
Smart.
I told them all, I'm like, I wouldn't do it. They were trying to tell me that it was stunt bulls. I go, that bull does not know it's a stunt bull. That bull thinks it's a fucking bull. It doesn't even know what a stunt bull is. That's a giant fucking angry animal that doesn't want you on its back. And you're getting like untrained people, and you're putting a helmet on them, and a chest plate,
some
and
data entry guy hopping on a bull,
hoping their arm doesn't get shattered into a fucking million pieces. If they're lucky,
that's
they
just
don't
good
get
TV, Joe.
Kicked in the face.
Yeah,
terrifying.
Sometimes I see shows like Wipeout. Even I'm like, why would I risk this?
Yes,
really?
Yeah,
they just love people getting picked up.
Yeah. Well, it's like, hey, this is the game we play,
I guess. And then also,
we saw that guy jumping over the bulls. Mine too.
But he's he's willingly doing that, and he's in control. He's not being thrust into it. You know?
Right.
This is his life.
But in their defense, there are people that go on Fear Factor or that went on Fear Factor that were like serious fucking athletes, and they excelled at a lot of these things. And you're like, oh, well, if you're like a real athlete, you could do some of this shit, and you could do it better than everybody else. Just like you could play football better than everybody else, or
Right.
wrestle better than everybody else.
So it wasn't all eating shit.
No.
There was
There's a lot of
stuff,
physical
yeah.
stunts. Like we had a celebrity one, and the Miz, the WWE, the Miz, he was on it and he won.
Oh.
That dude's an athlete, like a real athlete. Like he held his breath underwater while he was swimming for like 2 fucking minutes or 3 minutes. It was something crazy. He was doing some stunt. They had to dive into water and do a bunch of shit and come out. I forget what it was, but I was like, that guy's a stud, because like that is hard. Like me as a person who's like, I've tried to hold my breath for long periods of time underwater. I've swam.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fucking hard to do. That water's cold as shit, which really freaks you out when you get in there. Everything like tightens up. If you're not accustomed to jumping into cold water, it's very difficult to stay relaxed. And this dude's swimming around in there for like 3 minutes. I'm like, that's an animal.
Yeah.
So there's like, yeah, you shouldn't ride a bull. But some of those fucking things that people do, it's like if you're a real athlete, you can excel at a lot of these things.
What was the grand prize for these things?
Depend on the show. I mean, in some shows we gave away $1 million, but that was only a couple of them. Most of the time they got like, I think it was 50 grand. But then after taxes, it's only like 34. The government's like, I ate those dicks. We ate those dicks.
Yeah.
The government's like, where's my money?
Where's my cut?
The government didn't eat any dicks, and they get 16 grand.
Yeah, Uncle Sam didn't eat dicks.
Yeah, they ate 0 dick, and they
Yeah,
get 16.
and I gotta give my dick money
You
to
ate
this guy?
all the dick, you get 34. Yeah. Fortunately, praise the baby Jesus, nobody got hurt.
Oh, that's good.
Nobody got really hurt. I mean,
Sure.
people get like sprained
Well,
ankles.
I'm sure it was an ironclad contract that these people signed.
I'm sure it was nuts. But I legitimately thought it was going to be canceled immediately.